Hey everybody, it's Cory with Utah Dream Properties and Keller Williams. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about commercial real estate.
Let's get to work. Let's get to work.
All right, so let's talk some commercial real estate today. It's a little bit unique in that it's got to be zoned for that. So we broke down a few things on the board here, and commercial is a really big, broad spectrum of things. So we're just going to talk about a few things and give you a little bit of information on that, and then we'll follow up with some more different videos down the road on different specific things. So today, one of the things that really differentiates residential and commercial is zoning, right? So that's one of the easiest and most basic ways to see if I'm in a residential or a commercial spot. So if it's zoned for any type of commercial, and believe me, there's a big list of different types of commercials that it could be commercial property, that's going to be your biggest indicator, of course. One of the things that we talk about is retail. So the easiest way to probably talk about these things is just give you an example of maybe one of our listings. And we do have a listing right now here in Ogden on Washington. That's a retail listing. It's got a couple of different buildings on it, but as an example, one of them is a tattoo parlor. One of them is, it's like a smoke shop place. Both of those are on the same piece of property, but it's zoned for retail. So both of those businesses are functioning there right now. And then in the back, there's actually an old home that's still there. It's just because the whole piece is zoned residential or commercial. Doesn't change that. So what most of them do is they use that as an office space or something like that in the back of those buildings. So that's just one example of a retail. And of course, everybody knows what retail is. You know, whenever you drive down the street and you see the strip malls and that kind of stuff, that's all retail commercial property. And then we have land. So right now we do have several actual land listings of different types. One of them we have, for example, in Clinton. It's just a smaller single piece of land, just dirt, but it's in a zoned area that's zoned commercial. And on that we could put a bunch of different things because it actually zoned for mixed use. And then we have a piece in Sunset. It's kind of a neat one. It has a couple of different duplexes on it, and there's actually room for more. So that's got room for development on it, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But that's just another example of a piece of land. We have a big piece out in Corinne, which is kind of neat. It's an old dairy farm. The farmers decided to sell their cattle and to move on to other things. So now we have a 100-acre dairy farm that's for sale out there. It's a pretty neat spot, but that is an example of commercial real estate, farm and land. And then we have a smaller piece than that in Syracuse, just off of 2000. And that's kind of a neat one because you can have a little bit of retail in the front, and then in the back, you could do some higher density stuff, which would be like townhomes, you know, something like that, or just regular homes, do a subdivision. So when we talk about those things, that kind of brings it down to, there's another one called industrial, but I think we'll do a different video at a different time for that one, just to cover that specifically, because that's kind of got its own broad area of things. But some of the things that we were talking about that kind of line up with land is development. So there's different types of development, of course. There's a whole bunch of different things. Everything that you see when you're driving down the road had to be developed by somebody, so they had thoughts there. But when people think about it right now, a lot of people are thinking townhomes. There's a lot of talk about how, you know, what kind of density can I have on that piece of property. So when we go out and talk to, you know, a person that wants to sell their land, the first thing we do is talk to the city planning or the county planner, whatever it is. And we want to talk to them and say, hey, in your, you know, 5, 10, 20-year plan, what would you see on this piece of property? And then also what kind of density would you allow to be there? And by density, we mean, the easiest way to explain that is how many doors are we allowed to put on that piece of property? So is it going to be townhomes? Is it going to be condos? Is it going to be single family homes? Is it going to be a whole bunch of different little duplexes like you would see in a 55 and up community type thing? What are we looking at for density on that property? And you know, the highest and best use is what we look for when we're representing a seller, because they want to know what is that highest and best use so they can get the most money when they're selling that property. So that's a little bit about development, and development is a whole big thing. We understand that. But for now, those are a couple of things that we want to talk about. So like I said, zoning differentiates residential and commercial. And then you have some retail that we talked about. You have some land, different types of land. And then we got development of that land. And those are all different commercial aspects. All right, so today we talked about commercial property, commercial real estate. We just kind of touched on a couple of things, but we'll bring more to this series as we go along. As far as commercial, it's kind of its own thing. So we have, in the state of Utah, we have a lot of people that have licenses to be agents, real estate agents. There's only a small percentage of that, though, that's actually a commercial real estate agent. And there's a reason for that. You've got to get a really good network when it comes, to commercial. When you're listing a property for commercial, the MLS is going more towards this, but you can list it on the MLS, but most people don't go to the MLS looking for commercial property. They go to LoopNet and CoStar and a couple of other places, but those are all separate things that you have to be members of, and you got to pay monthly for, and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different charges that come to being a commercial agent. Also, the forms and things. Once again, the MLS has been working on that kind of stuff, and they do have some forms in there, which is great. But there's a lot of things that are not necessarily laid out like it is for residential, and you've got to make sure that you have all of that stuff down pat, because there's a lot of money changing hands when it comes to the commercial side of things, and people obviously have lawyers and things, and they will sue much quicker, it seems like, than they would on the residential side. The residential side is, the MLS has done a fantastic job, and the state has, of saying, hey, here's some forms, these are all approved, lawyers have looked them over, and as long as you go to class and you learn how to fill those forms out properly, and you ask a couple of questions of your broker, that's pretty safe on that side, as long as you're using your head. On the commercial side, though, there's a lot of things that you just kind of have to know and learn and adjust to on the fly. So there's a lot more opportunity there for people to get in trouble. So that's one of the big differences between residential and commercial. So we do work commercial. We enjoy it. I really enjoy getting into figuring out all the different aspects of it, and that's why we're able to do that. All right, everybody, we're doing these videos every week. This was a question that someone had, is, hey, what about some commercial information? So we try to provide that for you. Any other questions that you have, all of our contact info is down below. Please contact us any way you want to. Call us, text us, email us. And Bree puts these videos out every week. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.